I'm an actor who has been playing a role for 5 years with Marissa Reynolds, painstakingly portraying a stand-in. Everyone says she treats me differently, calling me brother-in-law, until the night her childhood sweetheart returned, and she went to find him in the pouring rain. That day was our 5th anniversary of meeting. I had prepared a table full of food and waited for her all night in our room. The next day, she placed a card in front of me and said, "Gavin Jones, let's end this gracefully. Part ways on good terms." I calmly replied, "All right." Afterwards, I truly followed our agreement and stayed away from her. But when I returned to my own life and had completely forgotten about her, she came running back to me. She said I was the one she truly loved. I pushed her away and said coolly, "Ms. Reynolds, our show has already ended. Ding." Story Shots reminds you to click the subscribe button at the bottom right corner to read the full novel. I was in the middle of preparing dinner when I received a call from Marissa's secretary, informing me that she wouldn't be coming over tonight. Pausing my task of peeling prawns, I asked with a hint of surprise, "Why not?" The secretary hesitated before replying, as we've always had a good relationship. "Mr. Bradley is back. I shouldn't say more, but you might want to be careful." The dial tone echoed in my ear as the call ended. Marissa Reynolds, the owner of a prominent entertainment company, was also my girlfriend. We had been together for 5 years. Everyone thought we were on the verge of getting married. Today was the anniversary of our first meeting. She once said she hoped to spend every future anniversary together. When I saw Marissa blushing in Lucas's arms, I couldn't hide my heartache. I had always known about her childhood sweetheart, a golden boy praised by all, but they had separated when he went abroad for further studies. I wasn't oblivious to her constant attention to his news, but I believed that my loyal companionship would eventually outweigh their youthful passion. How wrong I was. The rain was heavy that night. After waiting for hours, I found news on Twitter about Marissa staying overnight at her new flame's place. Perhaps out of disbelief, I braved the downpour and went to the location revealed by the paparazzi. There I witnessed them embracing. My gaze must have been intense, as the man holding her pointed in my direction. Marissa turned and saw me. Her previously coy expression turned to one of annoyance. She strode towards me, asking coldly, "What are you doing here?" Before I could answer, she waved her hand dismissively. "Don't be childish. Go home first." She then turned and ran back to the man's side, taking his hand. Seeing her expression, I finally said nothing more. Drenched in rain, I returned to our shared flat. Staring at the table of cold food, I couldn't sleep all night. Since we first met, I had always been waiting for Marissa. When we first got acquainted, Lucas was just leaving for his studies abroad. Marissa, naturally ambitious, had taken over the family business early on. The heavy burden weighed on her slender shoulders. During that time, she would work until the early hours every night. I would stay by her side, only allowing myself to sleep after she had dozed off. Those late nights, though cold, never felt long. But now, this night seemed unbearably drawn out. This moment, I knew, would come from the day I agreed to be with her. I just never thought it would arrive so soon. Fortunately, she didn't keep me waiting long. As dawn broke, she returned, looking travel-worn. As soon as she sat down, she placed a stack of contracts on the table. "This is for the lead role in Gregory's latest film. It's similar to your previous roles." She then pulled out a card from her pocket. "There's £1,000,000 in here. Let's end this amicably and with dignity." I pushed back both the card and the contracts, watching her frown impatiently. I didn't even give this role to Lucas when he asked. "Your acting styles are similar, so take the opportunity. Be sensible. I can add another $500,000 for all the time you've been with me." I shook my head, looking at the woman before me. "You've given me more than enough over these years. I don't want any of this. As I've said before, once the act is over, I'll disappear from your lives." Under Marissa's complex gaze, I picked up my pre-packed suitcase and left the home we had shared for 5 years. Over the years, I've played countless roles. Many critics have said I'm like an expressionless machine. Only I know that being Lucas's stand-in was the best performance I've given in these 5 years. The year I graduated from university, I couldn't find any acting roles because I refused to comply with the casting couch. To survive, I worked as an extra and played dead bodies in film studios. I was so broke that I couldn't even afford to visit my grandmother when she fell seriously ill. That was until Marissa Reynolds appeared in my life, like a beacon of light. The day I learned about my grandmother's condition, I had just finished playing a zombie extra. As a grown man, I couldn't help but break down in tears, overwhelmed by life's hardships. My makeup mixed with tears, smearing across my face. Yet it was on this very face that Marissa saw a resemblance to Lucas Bradley's features. She gave me some money and a business card, allowing me to see my grandmother one last time. Later, holding her card, I hesitated whether to contact her. But remembering her frail shoulders and sorrowful eyes, I dialed the number. A cool female voice came through. "Come see me. And then, play Lucas Bradley well." Over the years, I gained some fame in the entertainment industry, thanks to Marissa's connections and my decent portrayal of Lucas Bradley. But because I played the role too well, I lost myself, willingly getting lost in the character. Lucas liked white shirts, so I threw away all my black clothes. He enjoyed piano music, so I stopped listening to rock. Lucas didn't drink, so I developed a persona of getting drunk easily. Lucas was the moon in the sky, and I was just a sailboat on the ground. Merely because of our similar outlines, I foolishly thought I could replace him. In the end, it was all just an illusion, a fleeting dream. I tore off the expensive tie Marissa had given me and kicked off the pricey shoes. I called a driver and asked him to take me into the bustling city. The spiciness of cocktails and the rhythmic music made me feel alive for myself at that moment. A slender hand reached out to me, belonging to a woman wearing old-fashioned black-framed glasses. Her eyes, however, were strikingly bright. This dejected and unrestrained look is exactly what I want for my male lead. Most importantly, you look sufficiently disillusioned. Interested in discussing a script with me? She placed a business card in front of me. I saw the name. It wasn't some big-shot director. I nodded casually, stood up to leave, intending to discard the card. But she stopped me, calling out, "Gavin Jones, I know your story. Trust me. I can offer you an exciting role that you'll love." Truth be told, I've never been obsessed with becoming famous. I just wanted to play each role well. As the year drew to a close, many awards were being announced. I encountered Marissa again at an awards ceremony. I had known for 2 weeks that I would win the Best Supporting Actor award for a period drama. After all, known as a specialist in period drama eye candy, I had portrayed several refined young gentlemen quite well. As the big screen kept flipping and the host's introduction slowly unfolded, I heard, "He's as clear and pure as jade, unworldly, descending in white robes like an immortal among the myriad lights of mortal dwellings. The winner of Best Supporting Actor in a Period Drama is Lucas Bradley." Under the spotlight, Lucas slowly took the stage, like a prince making a grand return. I heard the barely suppressed whispers around me. The real deal is back. The stand-in's show is over. The audience reached a crescendo as Lucas expressed his gratitude and love for Marissa. In front of everyone, Marissa went on stage and embraced Lucas tightly. A match made in heaven, a perfect couple. I smiled and left amidst the commotion. Indeed, at this point, my play with Marissa had come to an end. Since the awards ceremony, my popularity has plummeted. Once inundated with scripts, now I'm left with only a handful of offers. Even these are the ones Lucas Bradley refused, leaving me with no choice but to settle for less. My assistant picked out a couple of roles in my usual style for me to choose from. As I flipped through them, I realized they were all the same kind of gentle, refined characters that Marissa Reynolds used to fancy. I tossed the scripts back to my assistant. "Don't bother with these types of roles anymore." My assistant looked at me, hesitating to speak. In the past, I only took on ornamental roles because Marissa liked them, and Lucas Bradley abroad also accepted such parts. She said I had an inherent rebelliousness that, once unleashed, made me unlike Lucas. To be more like him, I suppressed my true nature, striving to mold myself into the image of the gentle soul she adored. Now, there's no need for that anymore. Another period passed without receiving any desirable scripts. That's when I remembered the girl with black-rimmed glasses from the bar that night. I took out the now slightly crumpled card and dialed the number on it. As soon as the call connected, before the other party could speak, I stated my purpose. "This is Gavin Jones. I'd like to see that script you mentioned last time." The other party seemed to have anticipated my call and exchanged addresses with me. When I saw her again, those signature black-rimmed glasses were gone. In their place was a face strikingly similar to Marissa Reynolds. "Hello, Mr. Jones. I'm Sylvia Reynolds. As you can see, Marissa's sister." The woman before me overlapped with the image of the little girl crying at the door 5 years ago. Back then, Marissa had just taken over the company and was completely reshuffling the staff. Sylvia, as Marissa's half-sister, had been sent abroad to study after losing a family power struggle. I hadn't expected her to grow up so much in 5 years. I looked at the ambition and excitement in the young woman's eyes and averted my gaze. I said coolly, "I don't care about grudges. I only look at scripts. If it's good, I'll act in it." Hearing this, Sylvia broke into a bright smile. "Of course, no problem. But Mr. Jones, if you act in my production, you won't be able to work with my sister anymore." I looked up at her mischievous grin, lively yet somewhat irritating. Still, I replied, "If the script is good, I'll do it." I took the script and flipped through it. It wasn't a period drama, but surprisingly, a story about an undercover police officer. It was about an undercover cop infiltrating a gang to investigate after his girlfriend's tragic death. The role required portraying both the rebellious nature while undercover in the gang and the righteous determination upon returning to his true identity. I had to admit it was indeed challenging. No longer a decorative role, it demanded more attention to both appearance and character details. I closed the script and placed it on the table. "I'll take this role. Let's prepare the contract." The young woman slapped her thigh. "I knew you'd dare to take it." I looked at her helplessly. "No need to flatter me. For this production of yours, besides me, who else would dare to act in it?" The young woman's mother was Mr. Reynolds' second wife, and her relationship with Marissa was strained at best. But Marissa was cunning, convincing the old man to give her all the management rights to the company. The stepmother and the young girl got almost nothing. With no other choice, the young girl was sent abroad to avoid the conflict temporarily. Now that she's back, Marissa naturally sees her as a thorn in her side and wouldn't easily let her succeed. Big-name stars wouldn't consider working with such a small-time director, and ordinary artists wouldn't dare offend Reynolds Group. Only I, having been abandoned by Reynolds Group, was the most suitable choice. The young woman, her intentions exposed by me, wasn't annoyed. "So you'll still act in it?" I pointed at the script and said to her, "I need this production, and you need me to act in it. We each get what we want." The young woman smiled brightly and extended her right hand, saying sweetly, "Well then, pleasure doing business with you." As if possessed, I reached out and shook her hand. The news of my starring role in Sylvia Reynolds' drama spread quickly. Many people mocked me, saying I was nothing without Marissa Reynolds and that I had resorted to working with an unknown director. They predicted I would fade into obscurity. However, Marissa Reynolds called me, her tone rather impatient. "I told you to stop these games. Do you think ruining your career by following my sister will make me care about you?" After all our time together, Marissa seemed to see me as nothing more than a puppy trying to get its owner's attention. I wasn't angry, just reflecting on those past feelings. I calmly replied, "Ms. Reynolds, you've misunderstood. I simply liked the script." Marissa's voice was filled with barely contained anger. "You like my sister's script? Gavin Jones, stop these tricks. If you come back now to support Lucas in his role, I can still salvage your career." Listening to her sharp voice, I smiled bitterly to myself. Before, although I was paid to act, there were times when I got caught up in the emotions of the role. Now that the curtain had fallen, looking at this person from the play, She seemed so despicable and self-important. I slowly said, "Don't trouble yourself, Ms. Reynolds. I just hope you'll keep your promise and stop bothering me. Otherwise, it might seem like you can't let me go." Marissa was furious. After a few seconds, she shouted, "Fine. I want to see what kind of shocking disaster you third-rate actors and directors produce. You don't know your own limitations. Go ahead and ruin your careers." With that, she angrily hung up the phone. At that moment, Sylvia Reynolds walked out from behind me and said mischievously, "I heard that my sister's beloved Lucas has been rumored to be reviewing scripts late at night with the leading actress. Do you think my sister has realized how good you are and wants to win you back?" I looked at her gleeful face and felt a headache coming on. I slowly uttered one word, "Leave." Then I went back to reading the script. I could hear the young woman behind me muttering, "Such a tease." I have to say, Sylvia's new drama suits me perfectly. As a graduate of performing arts, it's allowing me to really sink my teeth into a role. To better fit the character, I even shaved my head to portray the protagonist's miserable state in prison. This caused quite a stir on Twitter. People were saying Gavin Jones had been abandoned and had seen through the vanity of the world, becoming a monk. When I saw this trending topic, Sylvia was beside me, laughing uncontrollably. We had just finished filming a serious scene, and I was still in character. I pushed her against the wall, lifted her chin, and asked in my character's voice, "What's so funny? Want to test if I've really seen through the vanity of the world." Sylvia pushed me away, her face red. "Everyone says you're the cool, aloof type. Now I see your true nature has been suppressed." I sat down on the sofa, looking at her somewhat arrogantly. "This is called becoming the character." She came over to me, full of curiosity, and asked, "So, were you acting during those years with my sister?" Although there was certainly an element of acting, who could guarantee that one wouldn't develop real feelings when immersed in a role? However, I didn't want to admit this in front of Sylvia. Moreover, needing money was indeed my main reason for approaching her. I gave Sylvia an ambiguous reply, "What do you think?" She looked at me admiringly. "If I hadn't investigated your past truly, no one would believe it was fake. You acted so convincingly." Now I understood why Sylvia was so insistent on me playing the lead role. She had looked into my past. Seeing me look at her, Sylvia waved her hand. "After all, I'm not as naive as Marissa. How could there be two people in the world who look so alike? And both of them happen to meet her. This isn't some romantic comedy." I nodded. Yes, from the beginning, my target had always been Marissa. I do love acting, but the entertainment industry is a place of fame and fortune. For an actor of ordinary background like me, even with great acting skills, it's hard to make a name for oneself, and one has to deal with all sorts of harassment. So, ever since I learned that I looked like Lucas, I deliberately started to approach Marissa. When he went abroad, I knew my chance had come. For many days, I waited along Marissa's usual route, until she finally noticed my sorrowful state. Marissa had lost her mother at a young age and was raised by her grandmother. Even if my face couldn't move her, I thought my story might make her see me differently. Indeed, my plan worked. However, I hadn't anticipated how deep Marissa's obsession with Lucas would be. 5 years hadn't been enough for me to take his place. But perhaps it's for the best. Even the finest play loses its charm if performed too long. Sylvia asked me, somewhat puzzled, "So you're really over my sister now?" I lit a cigarette and blew a smoke ring towards her. "One last time. I'm not interested in a show that's ended. Besides, I don't need the money anymore." The young woman stared at me blankly for a moment before regaining her usual enthusiasm. She called out to my retreating back, "Then I'm going to pursue you, Gavin Jones." As Christmas approached, a new series premiered. Initially, it didn't stand out among the many holiday shows. But as each episode aired, the reviews improved, and the series became a hit. Suddenly, news about the new show was everywhere. The young woman beside me read the headlines aloud. "Gavin Jones's acting is explosive, perfectly portraying both roguish charm and good looks. All these years, Gavin Jones's handsome face has overshadowed his acting skills." He could have been an award-winning actor on talent alone, but he chose to be a kept man for love. I used to envy Gavin Jones for being a kept man. Now I envy Marissa for once having such a versatile brother. My head was spinning from all this. I closed the screen of her phone. But the young woman wasn't done. She bounced to my side, chattering away. "You're a big star now, Gavin." I didn't need her to tell me that. I wasn't blind. But it was Christmas after all, so I didn't have the heart to dampen her spirits. I responded half-heartedly, "Congratulations to you too, Director Reynolds. Success breeds success." Many companies that had terminated contracts with me after Marissa and I split up were now circling back. Good things come in pairs. Due to the profound storyline, both Sylvia and I received nominations for Best Actor and Best Director at a prestigious international award ceremony. The news caused quite a stir. After all, this award ceremony was renowned for its integrity, based purely on merit without any behind-the-scenes dealings. Some investors who had been hesitating between Lucas and me began to lean towards me. After all, the Reynolds Group wasn't considered top-tier in the industry and couldn't match the weight of a newly minted international award-winning actor. At the celebration party, Sylvia sang and danced, drinking quite a bit. I sat to the side, sipping wine from a stemmed glass. Before long, Sylvia came over, tipsy, and said to me, "You know, this is the first time I've won on my own merit." She then hugged me tightly, saying, "Thank you, Gavin Jones." Helpless in her embrace, I watched as she burrowed deeper into my arms. I stroked her head affectionately, holding her close, and whispered, "I should thank you too." In early spring, Sylvia's father recognized her potential and called her back to the company. I immersed myself in a new production. A few days ago, my agent found an audition for an innovative sci-fi series that interested me. Unexpectedly, I ran into Lucas there. In the end, we were cast as the male lead and second lead respectively, playing the same character in the future and present. The internet exploded with reactions. The director's casting is brilliant. I love this kind of dramatic confrontation. I heard the Reynolds Group invested in this series. Could it be that Marissa wants to see her new and old flames compete on screen? When I first joined the cast, I had no ill feelings towards Lucas Bradley. After all, without his similar face, I wouldn't be where I am today. It was Lucas who repeatedly tried to cause trouble for me. The female lead in this drama was also an actress who had previously been rumored to be involved with Lucas in the Moonlight script scandal. The two of them often left me out when rehearsing scenes together. I didn't mind the cold treatment, as I believed I could get into character regardless of who I was acting opposite. There was a scene that required Lucas and me to fight. It involved some challenging wire work, but for the sake of authenticity, I didn't plan to use a stunt double. However, Lucas chickened out. From the perspective of the film's quality, I went to talk to Lucas, hoping he would change his mind. Not only was Lucas ungrateful, but he and the female lead also spread rumors about me. They claimed I was being a diva, forcing an injured co-star to perform without a stunt double. Lucas even posted a photo on Twitter showing bruises on his leg to substantiate the rumors. Suddenly, the internet was flooded with criticism against me. Gavin Jones got too big for his boots after one hit show. What's the use of good acting if you're a terrible person? He's just trying to get back at Lucas for stealing Marissa from him. Perhaps concerned about Lucas, Marissa Reynolds soon came to visit the set. As usual, she arrived with quite an entourage. Lucas was visibly pleased and distributed the opening gifts Marissa had brought to everyone. He made a point of flaunting them in front of me. What he didn't know was that I had received a gift too, but I had carelessly tossed it aside. Marissa tried to talk to me several times, but I managed to avoid her. It wasn't until Lucas got drunk with the crew, which I didn't attend, that Marissa cornered me at my door. She handed me a gift and warned me in a low voice, "Don't hurt Lucas." I shrugged helplessly. "Whatever you say, Miss Reynolds." Seeing that she wasn't planning to leave, I politely asked, "Is there anything else, Miss Reynolds?" She said nothing and stormed off. Shortly after she left, there was another knock on my apartment door. I opened it to find a bubbly young woman holding a bag full of junk food. I smiled at her. "Is this all you've brought me?" Sylvia Reynolds tossed the bag onto the bed and put her hands on her hips. "Take it or leave it. If you don't fancy snacks, go eat the Swiss chocolates my sister brought." I shook my head and opened a packet of crisps, munching away. Only then did the young woman seem satisfied. She came over and joined me in snacking. As we ate, she said, "Don't be upset. Marissa's not been happy these past few days either. Let me tell you, Lucas and that Moonlight script female lead, they're actually having an affair. But my sisters kept it under wraps. After all, they have to protect Lucas right now. The company's invested so much in him. If Lucas falls, our grandfather will tear Marissa apart." I raised an eyebrow at her. "This could be an opportunity for you. When do you plan to leak it?" Sylvia grinned mischievously and patted my shoulder. "Of course, it'll be a grand gift for my dear sister." As the heiress to the Reynolds Group, Marissa's birthday party was always an extravagant affair. Many industry bigwigs would attend to pay their respects. In previous years, I had always attended as Marissa's plus one. I thought with Lucas back in the picture, I wouldn't receive an invitation this year. To my surprise, Marissa personally invited me. Despite our recent unpleasantness, I felt obliged to maintain this courtesy. As I approached the entrance, I spotted the young lady all dressed up. She was chatting with a rather disreputable B-list celebrity. I walked over with a stern expression, causing the celebrity to hastily step aside. The young lady, however, brightened up at the sight of me and linked her arm with mine as we headed inside. Soon we caught sight of Marissa Reynolds. Upon seeing me enter with Sylvia on my arm, Marissa studied us for a moment. She then approached me with a smile, seemingly ignoring Sylvia beside me. She casually touched her ear, and I noticed she was wearing the earrings I had once given her. "I didn't expect you to come," she said, looking me over. "The black suit suits you well." I nodded politely, but my gaze was drawn to Sylvia's slightly hurt expression. I found it amusing internally, but kept my face impassive. After all, I was still a bit cross about the earlier scene and wanted to teach her a lesson. Seeing no reaction from me, Marissa asked, "Shall we have a dance together?" Noticing Sylvia's increasingly sour expression, I decided to stop teasing her. I turned to Marissa and said, "Ms. Reynolds, I already have a dance partner. Perhaps you should ask Mr. Bradley." With that, I led Sylvia to the center of the dance floor. Seeing her secretly delighted expression, I felt my own heart flutter. As expected, Marissa's first dance was with Lucas Bradley. Everyone politely gathered around the dance floor to watch. However, an unexpected turn of events occurred when the big screen began playing footage of Lucas's misconduct during his recent film shoot, including his arguments with me and his refusal to learn his lines, instead just reciting numbers. Finally, some rather unsavory scenes from a hotel room were shown. Despite the quick attempt to cut the feed, everyone present was influential enough to have already seen it. Within moments, Marissa Reynolds cheated on Lucas Bradley's moonlighting scandal was trending on Twitter. With such damning evidence, Lucas was immediately blacklisted as a disgraced actor. Marissa missed out on the BAFTA winner and ended up with a rotten apple, someone whispered. Indeed. Did you see what Gavin Jones was wearing that night? All in black, so dashing, another replied. Do you think he knew in advance and deliberately wore a revenge outfit? Thanks to the love-hate triangle between myself, Marissa, and Lucas, I found myself caught up in the trending topics as well. Sylvia later told me that due to the scandal involving Marissa and Lucas, Reynolds Group stocks had plummeted, and her father had stripped Marissa of most of her authority. At that moment, I was reviewing the revised script. With both Lucas and the female lead having withdrawn, I was now playing both roles to avoid delays. It was quite interesting, and I took it very seriously, currently engrossed in some urgent research. I took off my glasses and looked at Sylvia. Isn't this what you wanted? She shook her head in complaint. Dealing with company affairs is exhausting. I haven't had time to write scripts. What, are you planning to give back the power you've just seized? I asked. Sylvia nodded earnestly. Yes. But I need my sister to understand that I'm not her enemy. Uninterested in getting involved in her decision, I put my glasses back on and returned to my script. However, as Sylvia was leaving, I called out, "Remember to come to me if you need anything." Then I closed the door under her sparkling gaze. The filming went on for nearly half a year. During this time, Marissa came to see me once while I was shooting a scene portraying a rebellious personality from the future. She stood in the studio watching me all afternoon. When I finished, she looked at my makeup, which I hadn't removed yet. "Those 5 years, I really held you back, didn't I?" I casually wiped my face with a towel and looked at her. "Why bring that up suddenly?" Marissa sat across from me and asked, "I heard you and my sister aren't together yet?" I raised an eyebrow, not quite understanding her meaning. She took a sip of coffee. "What if I said I hoped we could reconcile?" Seeing her serious expression, I realized she wasn't joking. I pointed to the scene we had just filmed in the studio. "Ms. Reynolds, when this show is over, it's over." Marissa stared absently at the recording studio, then smiled as she came back to herself. "So, our show, is it truly over?" I looked at her and nodded solemnly. "It has been for a long time." Her smile took on a self-deprecating edge as she walked towards the door. Before leaving, she turned to me. "I regret casting you as him 5 years ago, but I'm also grateful you played that role." I watched as her silhouette faded into the night, growing more distant with each step. Previously, when the scandal between Lucas Bradley and the leading actress broke out, the production I was in replaced the female lead. They also announced that I would be playing 2 roles. Due to the large fan base of the original series, the public wasn't very optimistic, and many investors withdrew their funding. Fortunately, with the strong support of the Reynolds Group, we managed to complete filming. As soon as it aired, the ratings soared. Gavin Jones really surprised me this time. It's like 2 different people. Why do I feel like Gavin Jones played a split personality all by himself? Quick! Someone write a quadruplet script for Gavin Jones to play all the roles. My mum just asked me why I was watching telly on my knees. With the new series receiving such a positive response, I was suddenly elevated to a godlike status. Unlike my previous work, this time my performance showed more versatility and a higher level of skill. Many fans online revealed my drama class grades from my school days. Always top of the class, yet after graduation I couldn't land a single role. Even scenes from my early days as an extra were dug up. Gavin Jones, with that divine face, even played a corpse. Oh my days, Gavin Jones was in the same class as that guy? With those looks, how was he not the school heartthrob? The power of capital. How could someone like Gavin Jones from the countryside compete? Suddenly feeling a bit grateful to Marissa Reynolds. Understand Marissa Reynolds. Question Marissa Reynolds. Become Marissa Reynolds. This sudden rise to fame solidified my position as a top star in both acting skills and looks. Meanwhile, Marissa Reynolds was busy dealing with the mess at home. She still managed to call and congratulate me amidst her hectic schedule. Of all the congratulations I'd received these days, none meant as much as the young lady's simple, "Well done, you." After waiting for a long time, I finally got to see the young lady once she was free. These days, I've heard a lot of news about the Reynolds Group. The most shocking was the reconciliation between the Reynolds sisters. After all, everyone knew that when Marissa Reynolds took control, her first act was to send her younger sister abroad. Who would have thought that Sylvia Reynolds, having finally returned to the country and succeeded in her revenge, would be willing to make amends with Marissa Reynolds? Especially since Sylvia now had an excellent reputation with the board of directors and could have easily taken over. At this moment, the young lady who was the subject of much speculation sat before me, sipping her bubble tea. Looking at her, I asked curiously, "Don't you hate her?" The young lady shook her head. "Actually, my sister had it pretty rough too." It turned out that Marissa Reynolds' mother was the original wife who had helped their father build the business. Unfortunately, after Mr. Reynolds became successful, he started looking for a son everywhere, finding multiple mistresses and openly challenging her mother. Marissa's mother passed away from a sudden illness brought on by the stress. Sylvia's mother, though she didn't bear a son, was quite cunning. She managed to charm the old man into marrying her. And somehow, she ensured that old Mr. Reynolds never had any more children. As for mistreating Marissa, it didn't really happen. After all, old Mr. Reynolds didn't care much for either of his daughters, and Sylvia's mother was too busy enjoying herself to pay much attention even to her own daughter, let alone bother tormenting her stepdaughter. It was just that the neglect from her father in her youth made Marissa Reynolds believe that power was a good thing. That's why she sent Sylvia abroad. There was no deep-seated hatred between the sisters, and now that Sylvia was willing to manage the company together with Marissa, it resolved their issues. I looked at the young lady in front of me and asked, "Do you plan to stay with the company in the future?" Those bright eyes looked at me as she shook her head. "Of course not. I'm different from my sister. I prefer writing scripts. In the future, I'll need Mr. Jones to support my work more." I took a sip of the bubble tea in front of me, finding it a bit too sweet. Looking at her expectant expression, I said, "We'll see if you've got what it takes." She burst into laughter. Yes, of course. Not just any script can attract the great Gavin Jones. Later, I became Sylvia Reynolds' go-to leading man. Everyone said I was the one who made a great director. But only I knew that this young woman had walked into my heart long ago. Her confident smile, youthful and radiant, had an intense attraction for someone like me who constantly navigated through others' emotional perspectives. At the awards ceremony where Sylvia and I received our Lifetime Achievement Awards, Marissa Reynolds sat in the audience, applauding for us. By then, she had shed all her former hostility and fully supported her sister's career. Perhaps due to past relationship disappointments, she now operated ruthlessly in the business world, multiplying the Reynolds Group's market value several times over under her leadership. During my acceptance speech, I thanked all the friends who had helped me along the way, including Marissa. She smiled happily from the audience, her eyes glistening with tears. Finally, amidst everyone's blessings, I got down on one knee in front of Sylvia. "My dear princess, will you marry me?" After all the ups and downs, we finally found our happy ending. Sylvia, tearful, put on the ring and threw herself into my arms, exclaiming loudly, "You're finally mine." I do. Less than a year after our wedding, we welcomed our first child. In the following years, we rarely appeared on screen. As Sylvia put it, every time I got into character, I didn't look like myself. She felt like she was looking at a stranger. So unless it was an exceptionally good script, I seldom took on acting roles. Later, Sylvia gave birth to 2 more children. When the kids were a bit older, she entrusted them to Marissa. Perhaps scarred by her experience with Lucas Bradley, Marissa hadn't married in all these years. She often visited our home to see the children, and they were very close to her. We felt at ease with her taking care of them. As Sylvia reached middle age, she became even more pampered. She wanted to travel the world with me. Coincidentally, I had been taking fewer acting jobs in recent years, so I cleared my schedule of other commitments to accompany her on our adventures. Eventually, we explored every corner of the world, encountering all sorts of people. We loved each other, growing old together with silver hair. Epilogue: Marissa Reynolds. From a young age, I grew up under my father's indifference and my mother's complaints. The vast garden often echoed with their arguments. When father wasn't home, mother would gloomily stare at me, lamenting why I wasn't a boy. Back then, Lucas Bradley from next door would always appear in my sight, wearing a crisp white shirt. We went to school together and made friends together. During my times of insecurity and timidity, he was my only salvation. But as we grew older, Lucas changed. His features became increasingly handsome, and girls flocked around him endlessly. To keep his gaze fixed on me, I started dressing up and learning diplomacy. Finally, his eyes turned back to me. Later, I accidentally overheard that his mother hoped he would marry a girl beneficial to the family business. To be worthy of him, I took advantage of father's slight guilt after mother's passing to get closer to Lucas. But just when the old man promised to entrust me with important responsibilities, Lucas left. He said he wanted to study abroad, to pursue acting, to seek a broader world without constraints. I begged him not to go, but Lucas said we both needed space. Rumors of his scandals abroad constantly reached my ears. Staying out all night with some starlet, then linked to some tycoon's daughter. I was disappointed time and again, yet I kept deceiving myself. Lucas wasn't that kind of person. Later, after working late one night, I saw a face so similar to Lucas's. His eyes held the same discontent and ambition as mine. Facing such a face, my heart softened. I offered a generous payment for him to play another Lucas by my side. The shabbily dressed young man agreed. For 5 whole years, he played the part perfectly. I even started to believe it was real. So much so that when Lucas returned, I felt very uncomfortable. I always thought he shouldn't be like that. Later I realized it was because Gavin Jones had played the role too well. He had seeped into my bones, merged into my life, and left when I no longer needed him. And I was lost in the play, unable to extricate myself. Later I regretted it. I saw how he shone brilliantly after leaving me, how carefree and unrestrained he was. I suddenly understood how well he had acted for those 5 years. Even later, I saw Lucas in bed with another woman with my own eyes. Surprisingly, I didn't feel heartbroken. It wasn't even a fraction of the pain I felt when he announced he was with my sister. Turns out, life imitates art. Once you miss your chance, it's gone in the blink of an eye.